So if we take this total rise of 9 feet and convert that into inches, that's 108 inches. We have to have an odd number of steps. So if we divide this by 13 or by 15, with 13 we get 8.3, which is outside of this range. But if we have 15 stairs, they are 7.2 inches each. So for sure we're going to have 15 steps, which means the riser height of each one is going to be 7.2. So if I plug that into the formula, I get 14.4. I subtract that from both sides, I get C, 10.6. The average energy cost for a home is this. We're going to spend this much to install a different type of heating system, so our new energy cost is this. If we subtract the two, we can find out our savings per year. And we want to know when those savings are going to be bigger than 25,000. So less than 25,000, we can rule out, which turns out to be all of these. This is the only one where the savings are bigger than the amount you spent. And the slope is the difference between your old energy costs and your new. A project manager estimates that a project will take X hours to complete, and that number X is somewhere above 100, so let's just pick a number. Let's say it's 110. If the manager meets the goal and it takes Y hours to complete the project, which of the following inequalities represents the relationship between estimated and actual completion time? So it could be less than 110, it could be greater. In fact, if it was anywhere between 100 and 120, we would have met the goal. That's why D is the best inequality, because you can plug in these different numbers for Y and keep this in for X and it still works. It represents the spread 10 below and 10 above the estimate. Sanjay works as a teacher's assistant for this much per hour and tutoring for this much per hour. If he made at least $100, working X hours and Y hours at the different jobs, which models the situation? So this is what I would expect to see. 20 times X, which is the number of hours as the assistant, and 25 times Y, the number of hours as the private tutor, is greater than or equal to 100. If you look at the answer choices, though, they divided this. So I'm not sure if they divided by 4 or 5 and which one would be right. Let's try it. I'm guessing that dividing by 4 would be wrong because I have 25. So instead I'm going to divide by 5. So all the ones that had 25 are going to be incorrect. And I'm looking for 4x plus 5y, so the answer is B. Here we're looking at an experiment where there's 300 people, and out of the first 150 we know 36 chose the first picture, and for the next 150, P people chose the first picture. And if you take those two and you combine them, P plus 36, more than 20%, so that's going to be greater than 0.2 times the total of both sets, 300. And that's going to be D. So Alvin lives 7 miles from school and Becky lives 13 miles from school. Now it's possible they live in opposite directions, so 20 is going to be our maximum. And if you were to travel in the same direction, you would take 13 minus 7, and 6 is going to be our minimum. There's the possible distances. And there's a visual representation where you add the two, and you take the difference between the two. So during an ice age, the average global temperature was at least 4 degrees lower. So if the ice age is Y, then Y is going to be less than or equal to X minus 4. Because X is the modern temperature. In a forest, white pine trees between this age grew this much in height each year. So a 15-year-old pine tree, so that falls in the category, starts out at 240 inches tall. And we want to know all possible values for the tree's height at the end of its 45th year. So 30 years of growth. On the smaller end, we have 36 times 30 plus 240. And on the upper end, we have 48 times 30 plus 240. If we multiply and combine those, we get D. A grocer carries 2 types of frozen meals that have the fat and carbohydrate content shown in the table. We want to have no more than 350 grams of fat. So 4A, call this A, plus 5B, call this one B, is less than or equal to 350. And our second equation we can write as 40A plus 35B no more than 2975. We know that B is going to be 10. So I can plug 10 into both of these inequalities. Then I multiply, and I subtract those numbers to the right. In this top inequality, if I divide by 4, A is going to be less than or equal to 75. For this bottom inequality, if I divide by 40, A is going to be less than or equal to 65.625. So the greatest number of meals you can purchase is 65. 2 for students, 3 for adults, at least $11, so greater than or equal to 11, but less than or equal to 14. And we're going to plug in for the adult a 1. We can then subtract 3 from all sides and say 11 is less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to 2s, which is greater than or equal to 8. If I divide everything by 2, I have 4 on this side, I have 5.5 on this side. So the answers are 4 or 5. 9 is increased by 3x. The result is greater than 36. So 3x is greater than 27. So x is greater than 9. The least possible integer that's greater than 9 is going to be 10.